Hey everybody, welcome back to Live Between Paychecks Kitchen. I'm Oz. Jack and Letty are in Lake Jackson. Borg's over on my chair. Borg. She says hey. And today we're going to do something that I've tried before just as a test kitchen. Worked out pretty well. I've always heard big about it. I've tried it with a few local restaurants in Texas. Apparently it's not the same. Had to get this mix, so I'm going to try it at home. Before we do, be sure to like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, ring the bell, which is in whichever corner it's in. But we're trying to do these on Tuesdays and Fridays, same as we usually do on COVID. That's why we're doing it in my kitchen. But if you ring the little bell, you'll know when we update these. So there you go. And let's get into it. So, all right, very simple. So you're going to need this stuff. You got to get the proper stuff, the café du monde, and you're going to need some oil for cooking, some water to mix in this stuff, and some flour. Gonna need lots of freaking flour and some powdered sugar, and that's it, man. We're showing you how to do it with this prepackaged stuff. Once you get it open, you're gonna need a decent bowl for mixing, man. It's gonna take a little bit. So you want to get 2 cups of the mix, right? It should just it kind of dumps out a little fast every now and then just put it in there, right? So you get your dries, put them in there. Like I said, 2 cups. There's gonna be a lot of mixing and stuff here. If you have like a blendery thing, I wouldn't suggest that this stuff gets really thick, but apparently you can use it. I'm using a fork because I can. Gonna eventually need to use a spoon, and you get 1 cup of the water that goes in here. Put your wets in there, and then just take it and just start mixing it. Now this takes a little bit. Like, you got to keep stirring it, right? And be sure to scrape all the dry stuff out of the bottom of the corner, the edge of the bowl. Keep turning the bowl so you get all of it. And you'll notice when it starts getting there, because it makes, kind of a ball right in the middle, right? Like I said, I started with my fork. It didn't quite work. It kept getting stuck in the tines, so I got me a spoon and just started mixing it. Now, as you're turning it, it's picking up that dough. It's mushing around in there. And like I said, it'll start making its ball. See, it's just kind of in there. But it's going to be super sticky. Trick is to put flour on everything. Your shirt, your floor, the cat, the neighbor, the random person who knocks on the door, wondering why you're cussing at all the flour. Now, I keep my flour in this big tub here. You might want to have something to take it out and, dump it everywhere or whatever. And I don't have counter space or a big cutting board or whatever. So this is the closest thing I got. It's this big Tupperware thing. So I just took some flour, kind of pounded it out here. Doesn't have to nice cover it. Like, apparently I watched my grandmother as a kid just grab handfuls of it and just kind of sprinkle it on there, and it layered it perfectly. I'm just kind of, hey, look, I'm shaking this and putting flour on this tub. So you're going to want to get something and put it on your hands, because this stuff is going to stick to your hands immediately. So let me just get you a little bit here and put it directly on your hands, mostly your fingers, but I put it in my palms here because I want to mix my hands together. Boop, 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 right? This will keep that dough ball from sticking to you as much. My right hand didn't get near as much as the other one. So get all the stuff off the spoon you can. You're going to try to do it with one big maneuver. Just reach in here, grab this big ball of dough with that floured hand. And the more I messed with it, the more flour came off, so the more it stuck to my right hand there. See? Left hand came right off, just flour. And then go ahead and pull it off of there. If it gets on your fingers, you can always and you got to grab all the last out of the bowl. But if it gets on your fingers, just reach it, scrape it off, stick it to the dough. Right? And the more that you waddle it around there, the more that flour will get in there between your hand and the dough. And it won't stick. See, this is the stuff that's left on you after that flour, right? So just go ahead and scrape that off, put it in there. Be sure to get all the last of this out of here. Right? I just used a spoon because I didn't have my rubbery spatula thing. It's dough, man, and it's super sticky. I've never had to mess with dough that was this sticky. I guess everything else was prepared by other people. So take this, you want to kind of knead it around, kind of mush it around, make sure it's still mixed up, and you don't have big wads of the mix or sugar in the middle of this, and just keep mashing it. We're also going to roll it. I don't have a roller. I'm going to show you how I get around that. So as long as you just keep kneading this, mashing it, make sure it's mixed. If your hand starts sticking, just get you a little more flour, right? Flour. Boop, boop, boop. See? Super simple. This is the part that was always super hard for me to watch. Like, how are you doing this? This is kind of, magic. So you take this down and lay it out. And this is where you take your roller. Now you want to put a little flour on top so your roller doesn't stick to it. So I screwed up and did that once trying to make pizza, and I just ran my roller and it just rolled around my roller. So that didn't help. So a little flour. I got the smoothest, roundest thing I could find, which is my thing of instant coffee. And then I use that as a roller. See, when you broke it, you just don't have the right tools. You got to see what you can do to make it work, right? Just make sure it's floured. If it starts sticking to your roller or your makeshift jar or whatever you have, put more flour on it. It'll keep it from sticking. See, if it pulls off, it's dough. It blends right back in there. I think it's considered a non-Newtonian fluid at this point, so it'll just mesh right back together. Now you want to flatten it out to about 1/8 of an inch. Is the thickness that it's talking about. So I got a serrated knife. Serration is only good for bread. This is a bread product. Flour, because it's going to stick to it if it doesn't. And I just took and cut it across here, man. You want to put it into 2 to 3 inch squares. Usually 2 inches best. Somehow I always end up as a rectangle. Now if you start doing it and it sticks again, flour. Boop. Just a little bit in there. And then just cut it across. You're going to try to make these squares. And just nice and slow. Like I said, I used this serration on it. I just cut it across. Super simple once you kind of see how it's done. It took me, like I said, I did this in a test kitchen, just to see how it works. And it took me some trial and error trying to get knives and pizza cutters and stuff to go through here, but I was stuck to it. But if you use a serrated knife, flour, you're good. So get you a decent sized pan. I used my big one this time. You're going to put your fire at about medium, maybe a little higher. Like you're going to get some oil. I use vegetable oil, but you can use olive oil or canola or whatever floats your boat, as long as you can cook with it. I ended up using about 3/4 of a cup. You want just enough to cover it and have just a little bit of depth where it'll cook the half of that 1/8 inch of your stuff, right? You want it to be able to sit on there and cook and not have to miss the middle. Now I looked out and got my tongue spatulas, or you can use this with a regular spatula. Now, once it's up to heat, put it in there. Like I said, you want it. I think it took like 2 minutes to get it to the right heat, right temperature, right? So you want it to bubble. You don't want it to spatter. You don't want it to spray all over you, right? You want it to just bubble around the edges. If it's spattering, turn your heat down, right? Just don't burn yourself here. Try not to let them touch because like I said, non-Newtonian, they'll mold back together and you have one big super beignet, which that's not a bad idea. But okay, so it took about 3 minutes to start getting them cooked. They started puffing up on me, so I went ahead and flipped them. These aren't done. You want to get to a nice golden brown. These are just starting to cook. You can go ahead and flip them as long as you keep them in the oil. Some of these are closer. So, like I said, I think it took 4 to 5 all total per side to be able to flip them and cook them right. So, like I said, I got them like this, with this color brown on that side. See? And if you got a big skillet like mine, sometimes it's not directly on the burner, so it takes a little while on the ones that are further away. Get those, just go ahead and drip as much of the oil off as you can and set them down to the side and fill in those other gaps with more beignets to cook. While it's still warm, get you the powdered sugar, and you want to sprinkle it on, and I'm not good at sprinkling with this hand, so I just put a big clump of shit on here. But you can also use honey. That's the one in the foreground right here. You don't want to use powdered sugar. You just don't have it on hand. If you have honey, great. I've heard somebody say that maple syrup works really well with them, but powdered sugar is the traditional. It's what I like. It's super cheap. You can get this mix. I had to go to one of the specialty grocery stores around here and get it, but it made enough to feed me and my friend Borg and her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend at least once, with everybody getting a beignet. They're really good. They're really sweet. They're really, really great. You really need to try these things out. Really. Well, there you have it, man. Quick, fast, and easy, done by broke people with coffee jars for rolling pins. If you do it differently, or you'd like to see it done differently, I do have some pumpkin spice stuff. I want to try to figure out how to make some of those, because it's almost autumn and I'm missing it, so we're going to try that. If you do any of that kind of stuff, put it down in the comments. Let us know. We very much appreciate it. Or you can find us on social media, man. We're on Facebook, Pinterest, Patreon. Shout out to our patron. Thank you very much. And you can find us over there on all 3 of those at Living Between Paychecks Kitchen, or you can find us on Instagram at Living Between. And until then, you can find us on YouTube all the time. See you next time.